Hello and welcome back to another Springfield build. Please bear with me on this one. It is a police station and I am a little bit... it's a big build. So anyway, we're going to dig out a path of 6 and we're going to double it up and just chuck in some clay, colour preference down to yourselves. Using white clay on the outside 1 block further in to start piling up our steps. Now guys, this build, I can't correct it as I go along, so it is going to have some mistakes in there. The reason being is because it is such a big build and I'm having to sort of start with the front and make our way through the build. So anyway guys, as we come on to the second block in, we're going to start using our stair, and actually I am going to change out over to a second block high using white clay, just so it's up a little bit further higher. So we'll put the step on the front, and then we use our slab on the one afterwards, and we will eventually use a stair on the one behind that. And this is just basically, it took me a little while to really like play around with this and get these steps right, because I didn't want to do it as accurate as possible. When I say accurate as possible, it would have led on for quite some space, so I tried to shorten it up. And what I've been doing is looking at the tapped out version and then looking at the actual version and trying to find sort of like an in-between version that suits both for the Minecraft and also keeping as accurate as possible. So using my cyan clay, I've now gone from my third step up to now using to a full block, so it will start leveling up into the build itself. And now we're on our 3 high of white stained clay, just behind as we go up in the steps, and we're still using our quartz steps and quartz slab just to really build it up a little. And now we found our level, we can now start filling in underneath with our white clay and start working out where our actual building is going to start. I can tell you that the length of the build is going to be 42 along the front. I can't tell you much else about it. Really, because I'm having to do this as we go along. It isn't like, oh, I've done it once, we can do it again. It's such a big build that if I try to copy one that I've done earlier, we're going to end up with more mistakes, and it's easier just to do the video straight up, keep the mistakes in there. And when I say mistakes, we're just fiddling around, really trying to find a version that we're happy with. Because when you look at the tapped out version, it's very small and scrunched up, but I didn't only want the 2 windows of the tapped out version, I wanted the full 4 on the bottom floor. At the same time, we've then got the actual version that is then obviously the stairs would have went on for a lot longer and a lot higher, but that's no good to me. So we're going to use our quartz pillar building up behind our stairs that we've got now. Which we've done 3 layers, like 3 rows of our cyan clay, and we're just going to build this up. It doesn't matter how high you take it, this is all about placing and really finding the front of our build, so that we can really progress. Once the front of the building's done, we then know how to carry on with the rest. So I'm going to leave a space of 3, start building up another pile of our pillars, and I'm going to do the same on the opposite side, leaving a space of 3, and on the 4th start building up our quartz pillar. And now what we're going to do is we're going to layer our cyan clay in between them pillars, and then go to our white stained clay and layer it behind it, knowing now that when we get past the pillar we can then go up so high. This is the other awkward part of this build, because building is nowhere near the bottom. I don't know if the cells would be in the bottom, or to be honest I don't actually know a lot about this build, but we can get the outside looking accurate. Inside I'm not too sure what to do, so I suppose it's all about see where we get as we go. So we're going to start dragging this out, and we've gone 2 blocks out higher, 2 blocks out from pillar. And then on the 3rd block we're going to start placing our windows, so we've left a space of 3, and then we've done another 2 blocks in the between, and then a space of 3 again. Now I'm going to fill in the bottom, start dragging it across, literally filling in our gaps. And then on our last one, where we've now got 3 blocks sticking out from the end, we can then start adding another pillar of quartz to the outside of the build. So from this side now, we're going to start doing the same, dragging it behind the pillars of quartz pillar, and we're just going to keep dragging it all the way across, and we're just going to start finding our layer now, making sure that our windows are all on the same level. Now the problem with doing a build like this is obviously you guys, it's not as straightforward as me saying to you, right, 42 long, and then we want to go up 5, because we really don't have that option at the moment. We're really trying to find the depth of the building, get the front right, and then we can concentrate on the rest of the build. So as we've done on the other side, we're going to start building up and pulling our building out, and you can add an extra block on the end there. Instead of 2, you want to come out 3. And I mean that on the very far end of the building. So now we're going to start building up. Now we found our window levels. And like I say, on this side, as we start building across, we'll point it out now, you can actually add an extra block on the end. So it will make it 42 in length. So if you're looking at it and you've got 41, it's because you need to add an extra one onto that side to make it 3 in length on the left hand side as well as the right hand side of the building. It was a mistake that I made, and you will see me rectify it later on in the build, which was a real pain. Really didn't enjoy the fact that that happened, but it does happen. So as you can see, I've got 3 here on this side. I'm going to knock this down and place it 1 in front of the very edge. I use pillar because they are actually pillars within it. So on this one, you will add the extra block and then place your pillars in front. I got carried away and didn't realise that I'd actually left the block there. But on the front of the Springfield build, you have these pillars, and it was either use this or quartz block, and I thought, really, if we've got pillar there, maybe we should use it. So guys, these stairs here we're going to place as window sills, 1, 2, 3, and they're going to be the right way up. I'm going to do that for all the windows. I'm not going to do all of the windows in this part. This is more about just finding our depth for the first layer, the first floor of our build. And I'm going to use the cyan glass blocks. Now I don't know whether I should have used glass pane. We get deeper into that as we go along. For me, it's all about just trying to make sure that the front is looking as good as it can be. So I'm just going to fill it in. And we're going to take these 3 layers up, trying to in keep with the actual build itself. So 1, 2, 3, and then building it up, 1, 2, 3, and doing the same on our last window. And now we can actually fill in all of our gaps, and then drag 1 more layer all the way across. So now we know we're getting to our depth of how big this first floor is actually going to be. Like I say guys, that left hand side there will have an extra block on, and you will be putting your pillar at the extra block. So we're going to start building up our pillars up to the layer that our white clay is now. I keep looking at this and I think, should we have used glass panes? Now I know we will get down to it as we get further through the build. For now it's all about just getting the front as accurate as possible. But I keep looking at the picture and I keep thinking these windows are further in, but obviously they do have iron bars on the front. I'm not too sure how we're going to tackle that, but we will have a look as we get a little bit further through. So now, as we've now got our top layer, we're now going to start dragging our quartz slab all the way across the front of the build from pillar to pillar. leaving us our opening in the middle, where if you look at the actual build itself from Springfield, you will actually have a bit of a deeper look in towards the doors. So I thought we'd start building this in a little bit more. So I'm just going to start layering it until I'm happy with what I'm looking at. Which obviously means we've then actually got to start layering as well also our floor, remembering to put in the floor slabs, which eventually will actually be the whole build is going to need that floor in. So I'm just going to use a jungle slab, and I'm going to start dragging it across the inside of this. So if you were looking at the actual picture or the actual station, there's wood layered across the top. So we're going to do an extra layer for a floor a minute, and then we're going to still drag it out one more, but actually bringing it to an end so our doors do fit in. So like I say, didn't like it at that deep, so we're now going to start pulling it across the front. So now we're starting to pull in, and we start adding our doors and finding our depth for where the building will start as an entrance. And it's very important to use clay or some other material for the floor. I don't know if it's the same on the PC version, but you actually can't place doors on slabs. Don't know why. Sorry about that. So there we go, we've now got our door spaced, and for now I'm going to be using a dark wood and actually just dark wood blocks, dark oak planks. Now I'm not sure if that's definitely the way I should have done it. Maybe I should have used the logs to give it more of a door look, but for now at least we know where our space is and we know where these doors do go. So we're just going to start building it up. I'm going to take it all the way up to the white clay. So we now got doors that are now 4 high, and we're just going to build it to there, and we're actually going to open out the outside ones like so. Actually I'm going to swap these around. The two at the bottom I'm going to put on the inside rather than the outside, because if you look at the picture you want your door handles on the outside, and then we're just going to place a door on the inside. Not necessarily sticking to this door, it's just for me to know that the doors have been done. And now we're just going to stick a tripwire hook on the outside pieces, just to really give it a look of an actual big door like I do with most of my builds. And we're just going to chuck it on there and one on the other side, and that leaves us now our gap in the middle to fill in with our white clay. And now we've got some sort of look. If you add the bushes to it, and obviously the road was here, you would start to see the police station itself. Now I don't know what to do about the bars on the front of the windows, whether the iron bars will actually create a nice prison sort of window look. We will get to that as we go. If not, I'm quite happy for the windows to sit there as long as the build looks as accurate as possible. So bearing in mind guys, on this side we would have had an extra block. I'm hoping you guys have already put it in. I'm going to start building across, and I've actually taken it 5 out, so we've got 4 on top of the one that's already there as the front wall, and now we're going to start building out 3 and then adding 1 and start building across 1, 2, 3, 4, dragging that across and then leaving a gap of 1, 2, 3, and then start finishing with our blocks of 5, including the very back wall piece. So now as we add on, we've got 2 there, so we need to add 1, 2, 3, and that will be this wall complete. So we're now starting to grasp how much space this building is going to take. And now we know it's just a case of turning around and dragging this wall all the way back to the other side, which is partially where I found out that I hadn't added that extra block. Annoying, but it does happen. You get carried away with these builds. I'm just glad I noticed way before it was too late. So knowing that my build starts here, I've added 4 blocks, and now I'm going to drop down, leave a gap of 1, 2, 3, and then start building a closed off gap of 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it is. Yeah, 4. And then we're going to start building another gap, 1, 2, 3, and then closing off to the other wall, which should actually give us 5, including the block at the front. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is already there. So we've got our 2 side walls now complete, knowing where we're going to put our windows, exactly the same size as the front. And now we can start layering up, pulling it to an end, knowing that that is where our bottom floor frame actually runs across. So we're just going to start adding up, pulling this up, so we know we're not going to go too high. And now filling in the gaps in between. Now guys, I'm not going to go all the way through the windows today. When I say today, I mean in this part. I will try and get this build done today. And we're now going to start looking at filling in all of our frame. So we're going to do the same over the other side. Now guys, I am somewhere in this video going to start altering this wall, because I do notice a little bit too late when I start adding the other windows that this wall is actually wrong, which was very annoying. But at the same time, it could have been much worse, could have been much further through the build to not realise. So there we go, we've now got a police station, which does look quite a bit like the one in Springfield itself. Now the difficult part is how many windows do we put in at the back. Now because we've got a massive space for our front way, which is 6 blocks, and then we've got like another 6 to 8 blocks spare where we've got the pillars at the front. I'm not sure whether to put them pillars in at the back or not. What I do know is that at the moment I haven't found an exact route for the windows. Not too much of a bother, because it will get worked out, it's not a problem. As you can see, I've now realised I've got 1, and then I leave a space of 2, trying to match up to the front windows. And we're adding a block of 3, and at the moment I'm a little bit carried away because I need to go down the other end, work out where my spacing is this side. So it's 1, 2, and this is where the penny has dropped. I've done my building not symmetrical. Just for a second look, oh my god, it has happened. I've got 2 blocks and only 1 on the other side. So please bear with me for one moment while I just drag my building out an extra block. It won't take too long now. Annoying as it is, I'm just glad that I didn't get much further through the build, only to be looking at a building. For some reason, to me, it really does catch my eye. I actually hate it. At first, you make these mistakes and you think, nah, it's alright, I can get on with it. But it really does actually, you do notice it. So there we go, now I know where my wall is. I can now add my last wall, just start building it up and making sure that I'm on the right path here, just dragging it all the way back. So anyway guys, if you did do as I said, you know, put in the extra block, I am sorry for wasting your time with this part of the video. But it is, like I say, I am literally recording as I'm building. The mistake had to be left in. It is too big of a build, and it's not one that I can build once and build again, due to the floor not being level and the stairs coming in. Every time I build it, I will end up building it very differently. It is quite annoying, but it is the way it is. So here we go, I should be now on the same path as you guys and actually caught up. And now it's all back onto them onto the back. I just want to add my pillar in as well before I start forgetting about it completely and mess up again. So here we go, we're just going to drag our frame all the way across the back. Now the windows guys may be altered at some time. If I could find more pictures that would explain more, that would be great. If not, I'm going to have to stick to sort of making my own as I go along, which is a little annoying. But for now it is the way it has to be. So I'm going to place 2 blocks here, leaving my gap of 3. Then I'm going to do the same again and start building across. And this is now where my problem is. Do I put in more windows or do I put in more blocks? Personally, I always say more blocks. But because the next layer up is then going to have the 6 windows, or actually 7 I think it is, it's kind of put a little bit of strain on it as to know how I'm supposed to now put these in. Because obviously the top one has got to be right, but we will get on to that as we go. So we're just going to start building off. Like I say, I've got 3 here, and down the other side I've actually got 4 separating that window, which is annoying, but at the same time it does have to happen unless I alter it to a point of where some frames have only got 1 in between the windows. For now I'm happy with the way it looks. I always hate the fact, like you can see there, there's 4 and there's 3 on the other side, but these 3 extra windows do have to be added to the front of the build to keep it as accurate as possible. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. If we alter it, we alter it, but for now that is the end of what I've done for now. That is part 1. Obviously part 2, if you want to get ahead of me, you can put in them windows, nothing's going to change, and the window frames, like the window sills. But for now guys, thanks for watching, and I will be very soon putting up part 2.